Good afternoon. My name is Alun R. I use the pronouns he, him. And this afternoon in my time, I'm facilitating a game of my Dark Age hack of Monster of the Week, which I've entitled Eotenweard, the Guardians Against the Monsters. This is set about 200 years after the Romans abandoned Britannia, and about 150, 200 years before the Age of Vikings. But for those of you watching, the millions watching, the touchstones for this might be something like the television Vikings, because the technology will not have changed a lot. The setup is that the three of the players and a non-player character, who will return, I hope, as a player character next week, are about to embark on a journey to a neighbouring kingdom in search of allies, and we're going to see where that takes them. I will then just ask the players to introduce themselves and the character they're playing, and tell us something, anything significant that they want to remind us of from the first session last week. Shall we start then? Robby, tell us about yourself and Touka.
My name is Robby. I use the pronouns he, him. I'm from the Central Florida, Orlando area. Myself is where I'm playing from today. I think we're spanning the globe literally today. I'm going to be playing a character named Touka, who goes by the pronouns she, her. She is a commoner. That is the playbook that I'll be using. Touka is a Celtic woman with a forgettable face and dirty clothes, although if somebody took the time to examine those clothes, I think they would find that they were very well-made, sturdy clothes that she has with her. She also is accompanied by a stout mule named Gnaeus, which is, I found it with the gear that I could get, that the having a pack animal was a kind of interesting choice to have. In terms of what we would know about her from our last session, I think Touka comes across as somebody who definitely realizes that there is a hierarchy within this society, but she also, while respecting that hierarchy, is also not afraid to take on actions that might be a little bit risky, so that when there was some activity going on in the hall last session, that where normally she would be have been excluded, she took some risks to kind of get herself into the hall, and ultimately that resulted in her being there when they were deciding who would go on this party to the neighboring kingdom. So she was able through that, even though she didn't know it when she was initially going into the hall, she kind of put herself in a position to be on this party that is going on a mission to a neighboring kingdom.
Thank you for that. I'm going to leave Blake until last, so he's heard about all the other ones, because he's joining us for the first time this week. Sabine, tell us about yourself and Eamon.
Hi, I'm Sabine. I live in Germany. I'm using any pronoun. So I'm playing Eamon, who uses he, him. Eamon is a monster hunter. He's a Celtic man. He has a hard face. He usually wears pretty worn clothing. Right now, he is not as lean as he used to be. I mean, he's still fit and athletic, but he's lived a good life, and I think it shows a bit. He is not a very talkative person normally, but there are some stories about him going around when he killed a magical boar thing, which he actually did. But the story's been a bit inflated, maybe. Who knows? But Eamon knows, and the scout knows. But well, anyway, this status that he's been giving led to this expedition that he is supposed to go to the neighboring Celtic Kingdom of Elmete, I think, and convince them to ally with Synhamm against some other ambitious king who wants to take Synhamm into his own kingdom, which we don't want because he doesn't like the Celts, if I'm right. And our Duke, while he is Saxon, he is nice, at least to the Celts. And since I'm a Celt, I have been chosen for this mission. And and my reaction to that was that I would take my weird young friend and my Matt Hahn and my childhood friend who was standing around, and I was nervous and I just blurted it out, and that's how Touka came to be there. And I will apologize to her for just shanghaiing her into this whole thing.
I'm not sure Touka sees it that way. Does she?
I think the way Touka would play that out is that Touka would accept the apology, but secretly inside Touka is actually really excited that she was selected to go on this journey, because Touka, as a commoner, hasn't had any opportunity to kind of go beyond the bounds of Synhamm, and so this is kind of appealing to her sense of adventure.
Spot on, thank you. And Alejandro, tell us about yourself and Icenius.
Icenius is a Hispanic, a Celtic Hispanic child who was basically sold to slavers for having abilities, for demonstrating abilities given to him by the old gods. The slavers dumped him in, where did they dump him? What's the name of this town?
Synhamm.
In Synhamm. And he had somewhat of an adventure with Eomen previously. Between then and now, Icenius disappeared into the swamps and came back. He's still, he's probably 13 now. He's actually demonstrating just a kind of confidence and willingness to stand up to authorities that actually he didn't before. So, yeah. And so now he's on this journey with Eomen.
Thank you for that. Okay, Blake, our new player for this week. Tell us about yourself and about Ulfric.
Hi, I'm Blake in Australia. Ulfric is Hammer of the Gods, so some evil wraith-like spirit sort of killed his sister fairly recently, I think. And he's sort of doing everything he can to try and track it down and find it. Before that, like a year before that, his parents were slain by some uppity new Christian lord trying to prove himself, and his parents told the new lord to bugger off, and they got killed as an example. So yeah, him and his sister just sort of got their lives back on track, and then bang, she got killed by something nasty, and he's been doing sort of odd jobs and traveling around the area trying to find out what it is and where it is, and track it down.
About how long ago, Ulfric, did this take place?
Well, travel takes a fair bit of time, so I don't know, 6 months.
Okay, so these are relatively fresh wounds.
Yes. Hence the hurt look in the eyes. And his clothes are worn because, he kind of bathes in the river and then gets up and keeps going. He's somewhat driven.
Quite a lot driven, I think. And tell us about Ulfric's heroic trait and the temptation that he lives with.
His family are always sort of followers of the old ways, so they always helped out other pagans and that sort of got doubled after his parents got killed by the people of the new faith. But since his sister was slain, he's looking for signs of anything unusual, signs of injustice, and he's hoping for insight into something that'll give him a direction towards this thing that killed his sister.
Okay. And how does recklessness fit into all of that then?
Yeah, so anytime he hears about any sort of injustice or weird stuff, he'll immediately start looking into it. And, you know, someone went missing at 3 in the morning. Sure, I'll go look for them. Just bang, does it? It doesn't think about, I might get hurt. Doesn't cross his mind.
That's great. Thank you for that. So let us pick up approximately where we left off last time. Ulfric is not yet on the scene, but we see Eamon and Touka and Icenius, along with our non-player character Sisha, on flat-bottom boats, making their way through the fens that surround Synhamm and protect it, heading west towards the route that will take them cross-country to the Kingdom of Elmete. Can I ask each of you, what was the last thing or the most important thing you did before you left Synhamm? Let me go back to front this time. Can I start with Icenius? What was the most important thing you did before you left Synhamm?
What do you mean, like in preparing for the journey?
You tell me.
Well, I mean, it like after between last session and now, you mean? Not much. I would have just grabbed bread and apple off of various carts and stuff like that, like as if I'm entitled to.
Okay, so we see in that little opening scene montage, we see Icenius lifting an apple here, a slice of cheese there, a crust of bread there, stuffing it in his haversack, his bag, perhaps taking some eating knife from the Great Hall. Fine, that works nicely for me. Eamon, what was the most important or the last thing you did before leaving to head off across the fens?
I want to talk to Touka because I volunteered her and I want to be sure that she's okay with it and that she doesn't have a husband and children at home that she's supposed to go back there to. Also, I want to find out if she has a husband.
Okay, let's just have that brief scene now then.
Yeah, well, that's what he says. No, he says, sorry for just shouting out your name right now. I don't even know if you want to go or if you've got a husband and children. Probably do, right?
You don't really need to apologize. Your reputation is so great. Everybody worships you around here. You're something on a pedestal for us. So you don't need to apologize for asking people to do some service to you.
Yeah. So it's okay if you go. It's I don't want to assume just because we know each other that I can order you around or something. I'm not a lord or anything.
Eamon, you don't need to feel guilt for this. I can certainly handle myself, and I have some ideas that this journey actually might be beneficial for me. That there might be something that I will get out of this as well. So set your soul at ease. I will handle this.
Very good. I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, I have to sharpen my sword. I have an axe. Sorry, sharpen my axe.
And Touka, apart from that little kind of vignette, what's the most important or the last thing we see you doing before you get on the flat-bottom boats?
I think Touka goes to some of the people who farm and collects a few food items from them, but not for herself. But she kind of explains that she's going to a distant kingdom, and that perhaps it would be good for our community to kind of show off some of the agricultural products that we are growing and that have been more bountiful for us over the past month. So she's getting not a lot of this, but some kind of select products that can be taken along. And then I think the other thing would be to just she probably would take a quick look at the boats and make sure that in terms of Venice that a boat would be worthy to take care of the stout mule along the way.